Pierre at the wheel. Politics to faith, the latest trend. We talk it out from end to end. And if you've got something to share, pick up the phone, turn it up. Real FM, ride the frequency. Talking truth, talking change, talking.
Welcome brothers, welcome sisters, welcome to our program On Target. And always remember, we never have a subject matter. Many times people meet me, they say, you're speaking about the same thing. And I say to them, introduce a new topic. If you want to speak about the same thing every day, I'm ready and prepared. The telephone is available, 442-075, sorry. Pick up the telephone, give us a call. You can also use social media. We have the technology, we have the medium. Use it. You can ask questions. You can recommend topic that we speak about. We are 91.9, 91.5. We are in We Noise FM in Brooklyn, New York, 94.9. 94.9. And we encourage you to share our program, like our program, and subscribe. This is what the technology and the social media requires for us to grow. So once you reach there, hit the like button. Like the program. Share it on your Facebook page. Share it to your friends. Share it to your family. And then subscribe to Real FM. That will help us grow. We strongly believe that the challenges we have are solvable. We need to rise to the occasion. Grenada is a small country. We do not have the burden that some other countries have. We don't have a race problem in Grenada. We don't have no ethnic problem, not like Trinidad or Guyana or some countries. Rwanda had a big problem. Black people fighting against one another. Hutsis and Tutsis. They mark up their face to identify who is who, and then they're killing one another. We don't have that challenge in Grenada. So we are better able to solve our problem. We are a small country. 100,000 people. Everybody know everybody. If you meet 10 people on the street you didn't know, and you start to talk to them, you'll realize there is a communication, a relationship, whether because of politics, religion, family, or church. So some of the problems we have are solvable. We have a fair measure of educated people in Grenada. Eric Gary brought 28 schools in 13 and a half years and the St. George's University. And he created the most amount of landowners in the region. Succeeding governments come in and invest in education. We have a high level of people that have education. Some may not have certification, but there's a word called autodidactic. Some of them help to improve themselves. So we could solve the problems that we have. Today, the productivity level in our schools is unacceptable, and we're not addressing it. When you are critical of teachers, they get vexed with you. Instead of listening to what you say and see if there is any merit in it. You can't have an education system with 70% of the children that exit school can't meet the minimum requirement. Yes, scholar, welcome.
Good day, sir.
Yes, my brother.
I want to touch in your ball again.
That is important, man. The pitch is good, and the new ball, you bowl fast.
I realize the pitch taking new ball.
He taking a new ball.
Pastor Lewis, my good friend, the pitch taking new ball. Clifford, the pitch taking new ball. Michael Baptist, you see, I call on all my partners because I find the new ball working out well. Mr. Pierre, I would like to hear today callers touch, although I don't want to cut you off, touch on where they find our health system is really heading. Because I listened to an interview yesterday with our health minister, and I'm afraid. I was hearing a child die in the general hospital because the electricity gone and the automatic switch Delco was not in order for about a year now. So the nurses was in dock to save that child life. When I said, what? Where we heading? 1 year now, they say this was not working. They called the Minister of Health in an interview yesterday. I think was on Grenada, Innocent. The minister was barely could answer the truth about this. They asked the minister what going on. How do he rate the situation in the St. George's Hospital from 1 to 100? How do he rate the General Hospital? Percentage-wise, he said he give them 60%. How you rate Carrico? He said 85%. How you rate Maribo? He said 90%. That out of 100. And he's going to say the reason why St. George's come last. It is the bigger hospital. It's easier to handle the smaller areas. I get frightened. I say, well, Grenadians, where we are. This is enough for Grenada to see. I am not saying that the health system was perfect under Eric Gary. I worked with him. I am not saying the health system was perfect under the NNP. But here come you have a government in office, which is good enough. They admit their health situation right now is worse than before. Hats off to the NNP. They're admitting indirectly that their situation is worse because they cannot manage. Grenadians, I told you, it's not about you have a young man and he's trying. These people cannot manage. I said it yesterday and I said it again today. I say I will continue to advocate Grenadians home and abroad. These people cannot manage the affairs of Grenada, Carrico and Pitimatnik. Things not in order. Some people pretend that everything is well. You know, lately our activists tell me, well, we cannot try and lie again. So Mr. Pierre is right to say you believe they have some money hiding somewhere. Activists almost admit indirectly. Well, if we cannot lie again to win, we have to try and bribe. So I'm going to expose all them things now. We have to try bribery. This is illegal. This is wrong. Because they realize that you has been advocating as this is one of the most lying regime in this country. People start to be aware of the fact they're planning something else. They're going back in a room again to plan. Lie cannot work again as before. Grenadians, open your ears. Grenadians, open your eyes. Talk to your children. New voters, talk to your grandchildren. This is what I'm advocating for. I am not looking for a job. I'm a retired. But I want a good country. I want a good government who could manage. Hats off to the NNP who manage the economy well. This is why the incoming government, which is there now, could have played with money. Good management by Jeffrey Bowen and Kid Mitchell. Grenadians, take note. I rest my case.
My brother, I'm not surprised at the NDC. Slightly disappointed. I never thought it would be that bad. But we voted a whole group of political neophytes. We take a country and we hand it over to a whole group of people that had no experience. They lacked institutional knowledge. They was arrogant. And their actions border on the realm of evil. Yes, caller, welcome.
Mr. Pierre, good afternoon, sir.
Good night, good day, good afternoon.
Mr. Pierre, I really don't understand what's going on with this Grenada government.
The government do good, that is what's going on. The government don't good and the government corrupt.
So this government right now, he afraid to lie now because he can't lie again. He don't know what to lie and say. I watch him on the 23rd of June, he gave him the fortnight. That he lie now, That he lie. The planning all the thing and them now to do now. Because he can't tell them nothing again. He realize he lying. So he give them the 23rd of June, one fortnight, and he closed the fortnight. Why these people are them? And you know, Mr. Pierre, when you talk about what this man doing, people siding in this man. I want to know these big people and them have children. And they're not making their children know when they're doing something wrong. Huh? The government doing, that is how the government learn, you know. When he know he doing something wrong and you talk about it, then he go better himself. He go do the right thing. No, but everything he do, they say he doing good and you can't see the good. So people, if the government is doing something right, you know people go open their mouth and say something. All you go say trying. Oh, this government is doing nothing, Mr. Pierre. School closed, school open. Parents have to send their children to school. What is going on? I tell you, them children and them, he's saying he have free education. Them children and them go and sign up for college. When them people signing up, you're telling them $3,000 for registration. Mr. Pierre, that is thing for
3,000 or 300.
Government doing good?
$300, Pop.
Huh?
300, Pop, not 3,000.
Ah.
But they had to pay for registration. I saw one woman told me that about three of them. They say they had to pay. So you see, the government you can't completely blame the government, you know. We have to blame Grenadians. We are mature politically.
We know he's doing something wrong. When you talk about it, make him know he's doing something wrong. Why they siding with him?
Well, they're arrogant, they're ill-disciplined, they're disrespectful.
People helping. Mr. Joseph don't do nothing in Saint David.
But he said that nothing has been achieved since 1983. So how could he come back and say now they're doing anything?
Mr. Pierre, come on. I just can't. Trust me, I just can't sit down in this Grenada here and see this thing and them going on. Mr. Pierre,
well, you have not been sitting down, you have been speaking about it.
If Dr. Mitchell, I am an MP, and Dr. Mitchell doing that, I will sit down there and see this thing going on inside that. Not because I'm an MP, that can't work with me.
There is no comparison between Dr. Mitchell government
the rest of the day.
Yeah. There is no comparison between Dr. Mitchell government and this government. Sometimes when you speak about corruption and they make the comparison, I always say to them, the NDC set up a commission and they bring down a forensic expert. And at the end of the day, they found no credible evidence of corruption in the NNP. They didn't even have the ability to charge them for driving without due care and attention. They brought down a forensic expert, a financial forensic expert. Lloyd Noel, I believe, was on the committee. And the NDC found no credible evidence of corruption or wrongdoing in the NNP. They only found enough evidence to fire the Attorney General Jimmy Bristol and to arrest and charge Fullerton. But they found no credible evidence of corruption. And sometimes I hear some NNP perhaps they don't even understand that. The NDC set up a commission of inquiry, a commission, and they brought down a forensic expert, and they found no credible evidence to cause the DPP to take anything they say serious. They only found credible evidence to fire the Attorney General Jimmy Bristol and to charge Fullerton. So all the accusation and propaganda they made, you remember the lawyer that was jumping up and say FBI and Scotland Yard will be down here in 9 days. That lawyer was made to eat his words. He had to apologize and he was made to eat his words. They lied. They went in the lab and they made lies about corruption. And they found no credible evidence. None. They only find enough evidence to discipline the Attorney General Jimmy Bristol and to press charges against Fullerton. You must remember that. We selected, yes, scholar, welcome.
Hello?
Your radio in the back giving us the feedback. So just turn it down. Yeah. You got to turn down the radio. And go ahead. Your radio in the back on. Yeah, you got to take out the radio and give us a call. They found no credible evidence. Every time you're speaking, they're talking about corruption in NNP. They carried out an investigation. They brought down a forensic expert. And they found no credible evidence of wrongdoing or acts of corruption. The only evidence they found was on their own members. The Attorney General. They fired him. And then they charged Fullerton. And I think they fired Mr. Church too. So the only evidence they found was on their members, not the NNP. Yes, scholar, welcome.
Mr. Pierre,
Yes, scholar.
are you there?
Go ahead, yeah.
Only thing Deacon and them know is to end. I already know. But he died in mother end. Say mother like fall bam. Deacon is a big shit, sir. Don't take him, Deacon. A big shit. Thank you, sir.
Yes, scholar. Well, that was a very uncalled for, disrespectful utterance in the House of Parliament. And I've said before, Peter David was the senior person in the House, and I thought he should show some maturity and ask him to take back the statement. That would have given Peter some level of maturity. I'm an individual who strongly believes we could do better in Grenada. And I call on leaders, whether it is the political leaders, the civil leaders, the educational leaders, parents and adults. They must pay more attention to integrity, ethics, and morality. When you are a leader, a certain behavior is expected from you. Yes, scholar, welcome.
Yes, Mr. Pierre. Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Great, man.
Theo Bolton on the line, yes, sir.
Yes, brother.
Yes, I just heard you say that, Mr. Pierre. There is no evidence of corruption with the NNP. What about the shrimp farm? What about the fall farm? Wasn't that corruption, sir? I would like you to explain to me, please, sir. I'm listening.
Right.
Okay. Put on the radio, let me listen, please.
Yeah. The NDC, when they took power in 2008 to 2013, they set up a committee with lawyers and they bring down a forensic expert to look into corruption and wrongdoings of the NNP. They found no credible evidence of wrongdoing or corrupt acts. So they were not in a position to bring any charges against them. During the life of the NDC, they disciplined the Attorney General for corrupt acts. And they charged Mr. Fullerton, one of their own, for corrupt acts. And I think they fire Mr. Church. You may end up, if you speak to businessmen, sometimes they undertake business that fail, but it doesn't mean they did wrong. You could have ended up in a business and you fail. Some people didn't keep their side of the bargain, but you did not benefit in any way from the business. So let me give you an example, sir. Let's suppose I leave a vehicle for you to sell. I say, sell this vehicle for me. But I never tell you what you sold the vehicle for. So you sold the vehicle for $25,000. And when I come, I was real angry because I believe you could have get $40,000 for the vehicle. But you did not sell the vehicle to a friend. You didn't sell it to a family member. And you made no profit on the sale of the vehicle. You were not corrupt, caller. You didn't do anything wrong. You were just not a good businessman. That is a big difference between corruption. Yes, caller, welcome.
Hello, good afternoon, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, my brother, welcome.
So, Mr. Pierre, looking at the state of things in our country today, okay? Are we creeping in to a form of dictatorship? I say that against the background that we are now hearing that there is a bill to be presented to the parliament where you need a two-thirds majority to where it concerns the oath of office and to remove our allegiance to the king, and our oath would now be to pledge our allegiance to our country. From the last two referendums, you needed 66 and two-thirds majority for the referendum to pass. Now that was failed. My question to you, sir, do we need 66 and two-thirds now in the parliament that bill should pass? Because if so, you, despite the fact that the government has a two-thirds majority, but you, to get that 66 and two-thirds, you would need a vote from the opposition. What say you on that, Mr. Pierre?
Well, I think what happened is a question of Deacon Mitchell, I said, is the corruptor-in-chief. And he's paying money for good relationship. And a number of these lawyers see an opportunity to make a big money. So they change their position. Now the same lawyers who went around on 3 occasions, they did it in St. Vincent too, claiming that you need two-thirds majority, realize now that they're in the departure lounge, they could make a money from Deacon by changing the opinion on the interpretation of the Constitution. And I believe that is what they're doing.
Yeah, no, Mr. Pierre, what I'm saying, right? What I'm asking, right? Do we need just a flat 2/3, or do we need 66 and 2/3 percentage for
What
the
we need, based upon the Constitution, you need 2/3 of the people voting.
Okay, so it's not 66 and 2/3, just a flat.
Yeah, it's 66. It means it's 2/3, so it's 2/3.
A flat 2/3, all right?
But from the people voting, right? You need a simple majority in the upper house. In the Senate, you need 2/3. That is about 10 and 9. And the people voting. But what happened to our lawyers in Grenada? And all lawyers are the most corrupt group in all profession, you know. We have not challenged them. Albert Einstein warned us, you know. He said, don't trust morality in the hands of the highly intelligent. And Deacon come on the scene as the corrupt-in-chief. And these lawyers realized we could make a big money.
All right, now, Mr. Pierre, the next point, right? Now, if we are not aligning, let us put it for simple terms, to the monarchy, does that mean that there would be no use for the office of the Governor General because of the fact that we are now showing allegiance to our country?
Well, there is no use.
And the Governor General represents the monarchy.
Well, there is no.
Yeah?
What they intend to do is to use revolutionary tactics to change the Constitution. You see, Maurice Bishop suspend the Constitution, but they decide to use illegal means to change the Constitution.
Yeah, but I'm saying, would there be any need?
Well, there will be no need for Governor General.
When we change the oath of office,
there will be no need for Governor General.
So, in other words, we move into.
There is a coup d'etat going on there.
A republic. We're moving now into a republic where we could have a president.
Yes, that is
and the prime minister could become the president.
That is a coup that's going on there.
All right. My next point is that, right? Now, as we get closer to emancipation, right, and based on the fact that we have changed our carnival from the regular period to August, it is close with emancipation and carnival. However, emancipation and carnival is two different celebrations.
Of course.
No. At the point of emancipation, that was a period or the day when the slaves had the most freedom to exercise themselves and to, have a celebration that they are now free, they are not owned by the plantation owners. So it was a day of celebration and merrymaking. But today, we are hearing that on Emancipation Day, there must be no live amplified music and activities taking place, and it must be solemnly celebrated. Where does the solemnity of emancipation come from?
The Marxist, Leninists, the communists, and the atheists is pulling a fast one on a celebrating public.
Yeah, because you see now, if emancipation was freedom, how can you now pass an act to take away the freedom of the population of your country, which is over 95% African? I have a serious problem with that, and our people are not saying nothing. Our tongues are
We're
locked.
sleeping.
We're sleeping.
We're sleeping, we're whining, and we're drinking.
Emancipation have to be the biggest celebration day in our country.
Yeah.
So how can you muzzle our people? We are seriously moving into a dictatorship. Now, from a carnival standpoint, black people should not be playing jab. Jab is not an African culture. There is no state in Africa that plays carnival. Carnival come from the Europeans, right? From Venice and with a Catholic connotation to it. And when black people play job, they are portraying the devil. You are belittling yourself to play job because job depicts Satan, and we are not Satan. You know, so I am making a clarion call here on this issue to people like Livingston Nelson, Artie Gill, those professors of culture, to tell the Prime Minister that he has no right to deny the Grenadian people of participating in the emancipation in the way they would like to celebrate it. That is a dictatorship that denies the Grenadian public of a right to emancipate themselves. So the emancipated we are no longer emancipated under a Dick Mitchell administration.
You know, nice to have a discussion with you in the Bible about Jacob, Esau, and Israel. You know, when Jacob fighting with God because he want God to bless him.
Yeah.
It was the NDC that declared 100,000 job, you know. You see,
I agree to that, but what
you see, these elements wanted to dilute the significance of Christianity. And that is why they try to hype for job.
But okay, now during the pandemic, right? You know, when the NNP administration was saying that let us not play job, it is not in the best interest of the health of the Grenadian people. That was defied. Even Tillman Thomas was given job contribution to play. But today, in a free Grenada, you cannot celebrate emancipation on the Emancipated Day. Come on, what kind of double standard is that?
It was the NDC again that tried to sabotage the government restriction because of COVID-19 and was inciting they're going from village to village and inciting them to play job and paying them to play job. 14 people die in the home in St. Patrick's. One man, when he see people dying, so he run. Up to now, they don't get him.
They get him at all?
They don't get. Well, some women, when I said they don't look for him, a woman said to me, no, we went and looked for him. The police don't even go and look for him.
Okay,
let me
ask this question. Now, can some form of injunction be filed against this government for the breach of our freedom of movement, which is enshrined in the preamble of the Constitution? We have 17 basic and fundamental rights enshrined in the preamble of our Constitution, and that is a violation of the right of the people of this country, especially on an Emancipation Day, with over 95% of Grenadians cannot express their freedom.
I think it may be a question to defy it, and then you go to court.
No, but something seriously wrong. We all of us must lock down.
You see, we have some laws in our country that do, you know, the NDC always, the NDC elements are telling me is an evil group, you know.
So
it's
now
an
we see the
disease.
Now we see the enticement of the Honorable Delma Thomas to cross the floor so as to give to this administration a two-thirds majority to trample on the rights and freedom of our Grenadian people.
Well,
I thank you, Mr. Pierre. Good evening.
Well, the Prime Minister said he's paying for good relationship. Yes, caller, welcome.
Yes, Mr. Pierre. Good evening.
Yes, caller, welcome.
The caller before what asked about the fowl farm and the shrimp farm. I just want to clarify something here. In 2013, Mr. Baptiste from Victoria, he was the former chairperson of the NDC of St. Mark's, right? He had a press conference. Dr. Patrick Antoine, and his lawyer, I think it was Kashington Hood, if I may correct it. But they hold a press conference, and he explained everything about the stream, about the fall farm in St. Mark's. There was never a corruption in that fall farm. It was the Tillman Thomas administration what messed up Mr. Baptiste about that fall farm. Messed up the man. And the man, because the man said in 2004, after Ivan, the government then, which is the NNP then, had also make a decision to continue the fall farm or to help the people who building what collapsed. Your roof had gone on in kind of a thing, to help put back the place back in order, right? And then he find that the government at that time was wasting time, right? And then he went to the NDC. He campaigned for the NDC because he said it in the press conference, right? And then when NDC won, them not screw up Mr. Baptiste. Right? So what the caller need to do, go to Mr. Tillman Thomas. Let Mr. Tillman Thomas be honest with him. He and the NDC administration at that time. To be honest with him and explain
Caller,
to him
you're
about
asking
the
for something impossible. The NDC is not an honest group.
But I just
They're not an honest group. They like to lie.
Want him.
Why are you going to go to a lying
I
group?
want him to get the clarification.
Well, I gave him a clarification.
NDC really is. To see how messed up these people are names. Even the shrimp farm, it was not Grenada money involved in the shrimp farm. It was CBI money. And when they see things wasn't going in a favor and kind of thing, the project was stopped. So it was not Grenada money. It never had corruption in the shrimp farm.
I explained that they had an investigation and there was no credible evidence of corruption. The only credible evidence they had was of Jimmy Bristol, Fullerton, and
right.
So,
and Church.
Yes. So when we're speaking about corruption, there is no credible evidence of corruption in the NNP. There seems to be credible evidence of corruption in NDC.
But you see, Mr. Pierre, NDC had to do all of that now to make the supporters.
Yes, because the NNP members were sleeping. These things happen because so-called NNP members were sleeping and they did not have the information and they can't provide answers. And what NNP members have to do is to wake up.
Yeah, but I'm blaming NNP leadership for lacking of giving us the information.
Well, then, you know, this
I'm blaming the leadership.
All right.
Yes.
Yes.
Have a good evening, Mr. Pitt.
A number important. Yes, caller, welcome.
Yes, good afternoon once again, Mr.
Yes,
Pierre, how are you today?
Yes, great, man.
Have a good day. Wonderful program. I'll tell you something. We're talking about constitution. I am convinced that we will not have a constitution in my lifetime. What is the problem with the constitution?
Nothing as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I don't understand what we need to do. I want penalties in any constitution. I want penalties for wrongdoing, penalties for demeaning office and not leaving money in the treasury to pay civil servants. Those are criminal actions. I want penalties in a constitution, yet no one wants to enact those things. So what do we want to change the constitution for? Look at, we have Trinidad, we have Guyana, we have now recently Barbados. What is the different behavior of these leaders? The countries are getting worse. More crime, worse economy. Then what is the purpose of the change? Couldn't we face on the economy and the people that it has to serve, rather than trying to change a constitution just to get rid of the king? If we're going to get rid of the
it's a distraction, you know.
Of the king.
Didn't corrupt the government and he's trying to distract him.
That's waste of time.
It's just a distraction.
That's a waste of time. Then are we going to give up the Queen's English?
It's just a distraction. Deacons are corrupt in the video.
I don't see the necessity of all of this, because with all the republic you have in the region, the behavior of the leaders are not different. It gets worse. If we want to enact certain things in the Constitution, that we know what we want to enact, couldn't we do it now? Do what we want to enact in a Constitution, and then it might be better. It might be an example for our people to say, okay, well, they're doing what we want, what they say is the right thing to put in a Constitution, so let's sign on the dotted line.
This thing is just a distraction.
Well, it's waste of time, because you see...
Well, of course, deacons are waste of time, government.
Millions of dollars, year after year, discussing...
And these lawyers is a bunch of crook.
Yeah? We want reparation. We'll never get away spending millions of dollars.
We have to go to reparations. The black man sold us in slavery.
It does not make any sense discussing those things. We have to focus on the economy. Look at now, not the EU, CARICOM. Maybe I better sit in a chair and manage this country, though, because they're always talking after me. CARICOM are just talking about putting embargo on Israel for crime committed in Palestine. How late?
What CARICOM have to do with that?
Well,
what CARICOM should do is to act as an agent of peace.
No, that's not their interest, because I called for those many, many, many years ago.
The issue in Israel and Palestine, I didn't hear CARICOM condemning the Hamas for going and take the Israeli hostages. I don't hear CARICOM condemn Iran for trying to wipe Israel out of the face of the earth. I don't hear CARICOM condemning thing for that.
That is not the interest.
So what is
the interest? Is to solve the masters where
they want to push Marxist, Leninist, atheist, and communist ideology.
We can't continue making more problem for this country. We the citizens are in a lot of problem already.
Yeah.
We can't continue putting more on top of what we have. I will advise the government, and I'm not talking politics here because I don't believe in this political.
Once you're talking on these issues, is policies. So it's not party politics, but it's
not
policies.
Party politics. I am asking, advising the government to let us focus on the economy as it relates to taking care of the citizens of this country. We need to work the economy to raise revenue, put people to work, so that they can get money to manage this place, instead of spending these millions of dollars. Because I'll tell you something, over the last 40 years, if we put all the monies that we wasted in terms of those discussions, it is more than doing infrastructure from St. George's to Tongale East Coast.
Yes,
I'll tell you something. Have a good day, Mr.
Yes, sir. Right. Yes, scholar, welcome.
Yeah, awesome.
Yes, scholar.
So we will be changing the Eastern Caribbean dollar. We must change the Eastern Caribbean dollar, and we'll have to use the Grenadian dollar, the GG dollar, when you'll put Deacon Mitchell face on the GG dollar, right?
We have
I think that's
OECS.
what will be the value of the GG dollar? What will be the value of the GG dollar then?
We have one common currency in the OECS.
Yes.
Yeah, so
if you're going separate, you must have your own dollar.
It doesn't affect the EECC dollar.
The rest of the Eastern Caribbean dollar?
No, it doesn't affect it.
No.
There are countries that, Barbados, not Barbados, but all the other countries, you don't.
Trinidad.
Dominica have a president, it don't affect the ECC dollar.
All right.
Thank you, sir. This constitution is only sidetrack. They can realize that we on to him with corruption. So he getting some more corrupt lawyers. And they realize they could benefit some money. They recognize Deacon weakness. Those lawyers get an opportunity to make a few $100,000 and they're grabbing at it. Yes, caller, welcome.
Good day, Mr. Pierre, and good day to you.
Yes, ma'am.
Listeners. Mr. Pierre, I want to go back a bit on that contract issue and the Build Back Better. Now, remember a couple months ago, maybe about a year now, Government built what you call it like a model house somewhere in St. George's. I guess they had a good contractor, and the contractor had his workers. So they constructed the house, I believe, in about 3 weeks. They came up with this analysis that this house can build in 3 weeks. And they do a costing, how much they spend on the house. Whether it's the same costing they did, or they break it down a bit, or they use that costing to say, you know what, we're going to use that model house, and we're going to use that costing to give everybody to build that house. Not even thinking that St. George's material cost, maybe the sand and the gravels, maybe the house was built in a flat area. And in St. George's, you have all a big hardware places so you can get this stuff ready. And they give God to go out into the countryside. And they look for men on the side of the road who can build, who have no experience, some of them have no experience in building a house, and give them that money to build a house. So what do you expect would happen after that? Do you believe that they would accomplish that work that they did in town? So when I hear they blame the contractors, I could never understand why. Why would you blame the contractor? Because you know, down more than that, these guys have no building skills. You're trying something with them. How do you expect them to build a house, a qualified house? So if they had looked for a qualified builder, or qualified builders, then now the builders would have the workmen, they would have scaffolding, they would have trucks, they would have this, they would have that, and make the same work easier, and maybe build a better house. So the government has to take the blame. They cannot put the blame on the contractors. There's no way they can do that. It's unfair. They cannot put the blame on the contractors. No way. Have a nice day, brother.
One of the engineers told the minister, this thing cannot be done in 8 weeks. The minister insists. The minister gave him a sweet spot. He tell him it could be done in 3.5 weeks. The engineer said, based on the timing with the concrete and the concrete that took you, it cannot be done faster than 8 weeks. The minister insists, and he gave the engineer a sweet spot, and the engineer tell him you're getting 3.5 weeks. That's a corrupt bunch of political neophytes that lack institutional knowledge, and they arrogant and borders on the realm of evil. Yes, scholar, welcome.
Mr. Pierre, good afternoon, sir.
Yes, scholar, welcome.
Yes. Now, we have to wake up and see what this reprobate-minded government is doing to our people. Now, remember that our constitution at present is against homosexuality. Now, these men, in order to legalize homosexuality, they must change the constitution. Remember the Somoro Agreement that they signed? So what they are doing now is using the back door, because they have to change the constitution in order to legalize evil. When I said it before, that this government, this NDC, is a satanic cult. If you look, they're promoting jab, Satan, Satan, Satan worship. Once they change the constitution, then they will be able to legalize homosexuality in this country. Look at what they are doing. We move from physical slavery, and they're trying to impose on us mental slavery. It's okay, there are two types of slavery, you know. And I rather to be living in a condition whereby I'm a physical slave, because mentally I am free. There will be rebellion in my heart, and freedom going to come. But when they enslave your mind, you finish. And that is what is going on in Grenada. A lot of mental slavery. And this homosexual thing, don't take it lightly with this Somoro Agreement, because there are many in Grenada who traveling real regular to the Middle East so they can meet the men of Al-Zut in order to enjoy themselves, right? And they don't believe in democracy. And we have to wake up and see what they are trying to impose on us. Have a good day, sir.
The communists, the Marxists, Leninists, and the 80s. It was the NDC that declared 100,000 jobs. It was the NDC that went out to encourage and pay and provide fly sheets for job to defy the restriction put for COVID-19, resulting in 14 people dying in St. Patrick's in one of the elderly home. And one man running, an elderly man, they never get him. Yes, caller, welcome. Yes, caller, welcome. It was the NDC again that claimed that they paying money for good relationship. That is bribery. The NDC is dismantling the guardrails against corruption. They also flaunt the law in the Grenada Development Bank. You hear about the corruption in National Lottery. You hear about the corruption in gravel and concrete. You hear that they themselves are selling passport in the CBI program, and you hear about the consequences. I spoke repeatedly about the third party directing our foreign affairs. 50 million for 50 years celebration. They even tricked Scarlana. We, the people of this country, have to open your eyes and recognize that a coup d'etat, they sneak in a coup on the Constitution, and those lawyers don't mind. Once they make a money, they don't seem to care. When Deacon sold himself as a man with deep pockets and contact, I went in the rum shop to ask the people on the ground what you understand by that. They said the lawyers in Grenada is behind Deacon. The lawyers in Grenada is behind Deacon. We, the Southless Christians, are helping to facilitate the process for our own demise. For our own demise. Those people who making noise about job now, listen to Deacon, how he flip-flops and incites violence in the country and encourage the job. And you know what he's doing? Don't believe he's no fool. He's on his own agenda. The idea is to destroy the family. This is the big aim, you know. Communism, Marxist Leninism, and 80s, they like a weak family. So the idea is more and more to destroy the family structure so that Marxist Leninism, communism, and the 80s could flourish and function in our country. That's why I always believe that we could solve our problems. We are a small country. We could adjust the problems that we have. We get tired. We have to demand leaders of higher ethics and integrity and morality. Whether the leaders are political, civil, in educational, teachers, parents. Yes, caller, welcome. Caller, welcome. We lost our caller. Caller, you there? Yeah. So we have to seek leaders of higher quality. If you believe that you can have a leader that openly define, openly mashing up the guardrails, then you complain about corruption. When the Prime Minister moved from $15,000 that a politician could give a contract, anything above that you must have bidding, 3 persons must bid, you must have more check and balance, and you bring it to 100,000, you are destroying the guardrails. When you take the money from the Grenada Development Bank and you lend your own, you're mashing up the guardrails. When a minister gives his landlord a contract and the landlord subcontract the contract, and the person who does the contract finish in 1 week, you open the door to corruption. When the top members of your team are selling passports on the international market, then ask yourself, who's going to do the check and balance? When a member of your own cabinet and a senator who had some pasta in him was shocked at the level of corruption in the national lottery, he turned the whistleblower. The Prime Minister fired the whistleblower and intimidated him with police escort like a common criminal. What the Prime Minister did when he treated Laco like that, he threatened the other members of his team. That's what he do. I'm giving you money, keep your backside quiet. That's what he did. He threatened them. Remember that Ron said he got a gracious offer. And based upon the information that we have on the ground, and we have challenged them to take issue with it, they have never taken issue with it. He got $100,000 for the gracious offer. When the Prime Minister of Grenada took away the 100 house unit from the people it was given in Carriacou, and irrespective of the fact that you had a hurricane in Carriacou, refused to give them the houses while people are not tarpaulin. And we are hearing they want to sell the houses to the people of the diaspora. That is evil. When the government fired people immediately after winning election, they won on the 23rd, and by the 5th, letters were going out. That is evil. When the Public Workers Union in Grenada decide to throw out people from the medical health plan, and the excuse they give is, when we change the service provider, we were not able to communicate with you. That is a high level of insensitivity, and that is evil. And when we sit and watch this thing go by, according to T.U.C. Kawana, we have to stand the consequences. We are selling our children's future, and we're bringing this country economy into free fall. Thank you for listening, and we're back with you again tomorrow between 12 and 1. Thank you very much.